What if I told you the two most powerful ways of learning and upskilling in your career are well within your reach? Whether you're looking to boost your professional expertise, sharpen your skills, or stay ahead in a competitive market, here are two approaches that, if you adopt, can dramatically change the trajectory of your career. Welcome to this episode of Professional Playbook, where I want to share with you some hacks that have dramatically changed my professional life. This is stuff that I want to share with you based on my own experiences in a decade-long hustle, doing so many different things, a full-time job handling over 450, 500 employees, while simultaneously running my own design agency and offering consultancy services as well. This is the kind of stuff that has allowed me to clock just south of 8 figures in a year, not only because of all the stuff that I've done, but how I've gone about doing it. So stick around till the very end to get max juice out. Right from my school days, I've always enjoyed revising by discussing stuff with others and probably teaching concepts to them to a large extent. I can't even tell you how it used to be in college, in all honesty, where during semesters, 2 days before the sessionals and tests, people used to come to the room. The price for a quick 1 hour sesh would probably be a ciggy. And there are 8-10 people in the room. I've gotten an A3 sheet attached to the drafter board and I'm teaching something, turbo machinery or whatever it may be. And by the end of the sesh, obviously the room is filled with smoke, but hopefully heads are filled with something meaningful. I know I can speak for myself at least. Doing that 1 hour session by really quickly revising in my own head while teaching somebody else really helped me better understand the concept myself. Kind of in line with what Seneca, the Roman philosopher, had to say, right? While we teach, we learn. And that kind of gets me to the first powerful way by which you can keep your A game on, the Feynman technique. So what does the Feynman technique say? Pick a concept, teach it in simple language, identify any knowledge gaps, organize, simplify, and review. As obvious as it may sound, when we teach, what we do is we break it down into tiny digestible morsels, right? That are very easy to consume and understand. And the more we are able to break a concept down to that level of granularity, the easier it becomes to understand. The Feynman technique is almost a way of telling you, try and break a concept down to the extent as if you would be teaching it to a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old. The simpler it is for you to communicate the concept, the easier it becomes to understand. And the more you figure out how to communicate the concept, the better you learn it. Hence, while we teach, we learn. Teaching almost acts as a mirror that reflects your own gaps, right? When folks ask questions or challenge your understanding, you're digging deep to figure out what exactly the answer is to, the query. And like the name suggests, Feynman technique, it was Richard Feynman who used this technique in particular to make things happen for him. Richard Phillips Feynman was an American theoretical physicist, by the way, just in case you didn't know. He was known for his work in path integral formulation of quantum mechanics and the theory of quantum electrodynamics. Bunch of fancy ass terminology in the space of physics, so I'm sure his cred is already established. And that's why it kind of makes sense why he'd even use a funda like this in the first place, right? How do I put it? Teaching almost acts as an architect of both confidence and expertise. Through teaching, we become lifelong learners and are able to extend our capabilities through and through. And that's kind of how my stint in EdTech also was, right? 10, 11 years in a single company doing the kind of stuff that we did. The whole way, whatever product we may create, whatever content we may make, whatever design we had to come up with, everything was always from the perspective of how to teach this better. And the more we were able to do that, or the more at least I was, dwelling into all these various subjects for different age groups and finding different mechanisms to teach this, I obviously started getting a better understanding of the subject. Now, what am I going to do knowing grade 5, grade 7 math when I'm a designer or a creative person? The same thing holds good when I'm also, say, engaging with the 500 people in my team, right? As a manager or as a lead, you're trying to constantly figure out ways by which you can upskill your team, teach them to become better at what they do. And the more you're able to do that, you don't realize how much you end up upskilling yourself as well. I think people make the mistake of looking at hierarchy as the top to bottom flow of knowledge. But if you're open enough up top, then you'll realize that there's so much that you can pick from bottom as well. And the more you're able to engage in a system like this, it becomes easier for you to make maximum returns. Through the course of my time in EdTech, in fact, there was something else that I picked up that made a lot more impact in my professional career. And while I talked about the first thing as a little bit more of a generic philosophy or key that you can adopt in your life, what I'm going to talk about next is more relevant to your professional space, at work, for example. Before that though, if you like the content, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I like making videos like this and sharing with you whatever I've learned in the past, but it's a little bit of an effort, and the more I see, say, you guys engaging with my content, letting me know what you think, the more motivation I get to do it, and I also understand better if this is in fact the kind of content that you want me to create. So the second piece that I adopted, especially at my workspace, was to try and make others' problems mine. Why should we make others' problems our own? By willingly shouldering responsibilities with others, you not only obviously show empathy, but also dramatically accelerate your opportunities for learning. Only when we actively expose ourselves to other people's problems do we expose ourselves to other challenges or situations that we wouldn't have come across otherwise. And the more diverse we can make these experiences for ourselves, the faster we can accelerate our learning. So this exposure, if I want to break it down into three critical aspects, what it does for us in our professional careers is, one, broadens our perspective. We all know how the corporate ladder works. There's a hint of politics, there's a lot of work to figure out that may not necessarily be what we signed up for. There are people around us that we need to interact with, engage with, work with. So it's not just about, say, your hard skills, but your soft skills as well, right? And the more we are able to figure out avenues via which we can get exposure to all these pieces, the more equipped we become to handle them later on when they happen to us directly. By making others' problems yours, what it invariably ends up doing is it helps you better understand the inner workings of the workplace, right? It helps you better handle other stakeholders. It helps you figure out how you can come up with solutions really fast for problems that you may not have solved before. And that's how it helps you get a foot in the door. By the way, I talk a lot about getting your foot in the door and what you can do in this video in particular, with a couple more tips that have really helped me in my freelancing hustle. So do check it out. The second thing that it helps us do is obviously enhances our problem solving skills, right? As very briefly established before, the more you make other people's problems yours, especially those who are out of your domain, out of your space, of course there's an overlap. There's no point solving a problem in some other ecosystem or space altogether, but something that has a little bit of an overlap while at the same time not exactly what you're doing just helps you overcome more obstacles and think a little bit more innovatively, think a little bit from out of your shell and get a different out of the box strategy or approach to solving problems. And third, invariably this provides a steep learning curve. The faster you find yourself in soup, the sooner you'll learn how to get out of it. And that's the kind of stuff that makes sure you're fully equipped to solve any problem whatsoever. Because you're able to think fast on your feet, you're able to acquire new skills on the job, and eventually you become Winston Wolfe from Pulp Fiction.
I'm Winston Wolfe. I solve problems.
So yeah, do try and embrace these opportunities and challenges as much as possible with an ulterior motive of improving yourself. Don't think of it as an avenue just to make somebody else's life easier. If you can see what you can get out of an exercise like this, then you'll understand why it makes a lot of sense to actually indulge in somebody else's problems. So these are two strategies that I wanted to share with you that have made a big difference in my life, in my professional space in particular, right? And I'm absolutely certain if you figure out how to incorporate these in your working space as well, there's no doubt that you're going to climb the ladder and nobody's going to be able to stop you from achieving what you want to. I hope you liked this content and you found it useful. If you did, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Peace out. I'll see you in the next one.